What's up, everybody? As you can see, today we have the first multi-species podcast. A true giddy up. I have two guests on today. Two individuals who have been blazing the path in cannabis for some time now. They've been doing it in a different market than we're used to. They've been crushing the cannabis space for a long time, forever. We're going to get into that today. This person has started, empowering women, around cannabis, since she's been doing it since 2021. She started some really, really cool organizations. I'm so excited to have this person on today. So excited to have both of these people on today. I have Marissa Twichell and Dottie.
Thank you so much for having us. We're stoked to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to have you. I'm glad that you were able to stop in from, usually we're very limited to, not very limited, but we've been limited to the New England-ish geographical area so far in the shows we've produced. So getting someone from California is what we like to call a giddy up.
Yeah, we'll bring a little West Coast love over here,
A little West Coast love.
Stoked to talk about it.
Yeah, hell yeah. So tell me, I want to learn, like, what's, I know you've been in cannabis. I know a lot of the brands that you've worked for and that you've done work for. And I just want to know your story. Are you a California kid? Were you?
No, I'm an East Coast kid. I'm from here.
Oh, you're from?
This is home.
This is home.
This is home. This is why I'm here. Yeah. And
okay.
Actually, Michael, it was funny. I was texting our mutual friend, Michael, hey, I'm home, but I was texting the wrong person. And then he saw on social media I was home and was like, hey, what's going on? And then asked me to come chat with you and about to head to Logan. So I was super happy we could make this happen in between.
Yeah, that's awesome when timing works out like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
6 o'clock flight.
Yeah. And the guests know Michael. We talk about Michael. He's
great.
More than a mutual friend. Michael's doing the Dr. BeeWell with us.
And he's your partner, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
He's crushing it. So he's been awesome to people that he's given me access to that I've gotten to meet because of that. And like, I shouldn't say given access to because it's like become friends with.
Right.
Like the people that he's introduced me to have been so awesome, and like everyone who I've had on the show through him. Now, like I text those people individually, and we're friends, and it's a really cool vibe that we're creating.
I love it. Sounds like you guys have some really cool stuff going on.
Yeah. So an East Coast kid who went west.
Sure did.
Okay. So get into it a little bit.
Yeah. I've been living in California just shy of 10 years this time. I did a stint out there quite a while ago, came back east for a few years, went back west. I got a really cool opportunity to start off kind of really at the bottom of California cannabis. I literally started as a brand ambassador and have just kind of blown my career up since then. I started in the legal market in 2018. It's now 2023. And at this point now, I help build brands. My last role was director of growth. I help brands, grow into what they are. I've done a lot of sales, worked for quite a few companies. And as we talked about yesterday when we were like getting to know each other, something I'm really, really proud of is all of the brands that I've worked for have been legacy to legal, meaning that they were on the market before it legalized, and then they were able to make the transition into legal cannabis. That's something that's super important to me because that shows that the people that are in it are not in it for a money grab, which we have a lot of.
Yeah, there's definitely a ton of that in cannabis, the money grab. But why is it just that? I mean, I think I have the same opinion that I liked when people were able to make that jump to the legacy to legal.
Yeah.
Because it's those people, they were doing it beforehand because they loved it. It was what they were really passionate about.
Exactly.
Or they wouldn't have been risking their lives to do it. Yeah, sure, there was a lot of money to be made.
Right.
But there's lots of ways to make money. And if you're that entrepreneurial and that ingenuitive, then you're going to make money anyways. So for those people to then do that and then to make the transition to, I think it's really badass to say like, oh, hey, instead of going against the current and saying like, oh, no, that's not the way to go. It's like, no, let's get after this. Let's transition this into a fully, legal enterprise and go from there. I think it's so cool. There's a lot, a couple of them up here in Maine, that have definitely done it. It's a lot of homegrown stuff here. I've been growing weed in the woods, it's not quite as maybe not like California, not the same the lore, of course, but people have been growing.
Everywhere.
And
I love to see what's going on the East Coast right now. Definitely California, is probably the epitome of cannabis in the world, I would think. But seeing what's happening in New England is really exciting for me, being from here and just kind of watching the growth, especially in Maine. I think Maine really did it right. They made it accessible. There's not over-regulation or taxation. Not a lot of the issues, definitely issues, but not the issues that we're dealing with in California. And so it's really nice to see some states not making the same mistakes that we have made.
Yeah, that's really cool because I have tons of respect for the Maine program and the way that they're not that it's not without issue.
Right.
But I do have a ton of respect for the way the Maine program has rolled it out. It gave, access is a huge thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
You need to give people access to the medicine, to the, recreational for growth, whatever.
It's a plant. Everyone should have access.
Everyone should have access, and everyone should have access to do the business as well. And so, somewhere, in some, jurisdictions, it's very challenging to get licensure, whether that's, financially or, just pointy elbows. Maine is not that way. It's, you come in, you can become a medical caregiver very, very easily. And then you can get into the program. It's how we built Dr. BeeWell, which is now a multi-state operator.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're in multiple states, a big brand that's growing, have, more and more states coming on board.
I love that. I had no idea you guys were in MSO.
Yeah, well, so so we're in Maine and in Massachusetts,
okay.
and we have contracts in other states that are are very close.
Cool.
We can't talk about quite.
All right. Well, yeah. I'll have to talk later.
Yeah. Well, exactly. We'll have to talk later. And so
sure.
and I'm so excited about it because we just just saw the labels. They just came out and just on the jar and this working towards this in Massachusetts for a while here developing this, and it's been amazing. Really, really, it's been awesome to do. And but Maine is was the way in. It's been so receptive, and so I like to hear that perspective.
I'm super stoked to see what's happening, and I like seeing people like you coming in to be an operator because you're so passionate about cannabis being in medicine and making it accessible to people. So
yeah, it's
exciting.
I love that because it's that's kind of what we're trying to do as Dr. BeeWell is just not be like a medicinal company, but just knowing that in the rec market and the adult use market, there's still someone you can turn to that's that you can trust, that's still doing this in a medicinal way, that's trying to and not saying that a lot of the rec operators aren't doing this, because a lot of them are, that's
right.
where the business is going for sure, but just to try to take that an extra step and say, hey, we're very specific about the process, the way that we do, the way we infuse the honey is very, very, no one's ever done it before.
I was gonna say, do you guys have IP on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's IP on it. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, so I got the IP on that because.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's just that's the thing. It's amazing because it's it's this thing that you say we manifest it, right? You went out there and what brought you into cannabis? Because I'm that's what I'm saying is you have these manifestation dreams,
sure.
and you make it happen, and
yeah.
here we are.
Right.
This whole thing's really happening for me. So it seems like it is for you as well.
Yeah. So I've always had legacy ties to the cannabis space. That was really more out here on the East Coast. And as we kind of touched on yesterday, we come from an era where you would get arrested for a joint, right? Now I've been in a position where I was selling $400,000 of cannabis a month, and it's just whoa, mind blowing to see the growth and what's happened. But when I was on the East Coast, I have a daughter, she's 23 now. But at this time when I had some involvement in the legacy side, the law got involved and threatened me to take my child, more than once. And so I stopped consuming cannabis, all of it, because it's my kid is the most important thing to me ever, and always will be, always has been. So it was I took a step back, didn't really think about it again for a very long time. And then I'm out in California, and a really good friend of mine was hey, I got a new job. So I took him out for drinks to celebrate. And that night he was hey, we're going to need help someday. when we do, I want it to be you. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. 6 months later, he calls me. He's like, hey, I have this opportunity. I really want you to come in. And like I said, I started at the very bottom. I started as like hourly. And I was in dispensaries like, hey, buy this product, and I was way too old to be doing it. I way too smart, whatever. But I knew that it was a step in the door, and I knew I was going to hustle and I was going to grow. And that's kind of what I've done. So, then I moved to sales, and then, territory sales manager, and then up to director. And it's been really cool. So it's been fun. I've helped a lot of brands grow. I have a lot of love for the brands I've worked for. We talked about Big Pete's Treats. Love those guys. Pacific Stone, love those guys. Like I've worked with some really cool brands. But like I said, something that's super important to me is that they were legacy to legal. Like they were on the market before legalization. And so I was really proud to help them grow on the legal market, and really grateful for the opportunities I've been given.
Yeah, that's the story right there.
Yeah.
So you were in the East Coast, and you were, with part of the legacy market, and that you were getting your child threatened to get taken away from you.
Yeah. It was like really wild. So it was never my business, right? I think I smoked my first joint when I was 13. I was pretty young. I think I sold an eighth when I was like 15 or 16, but it was never like a thing. It was just like, here and there. But then I dated somebody that was very heavily in the industry for a long time. And yeah, I got pulled in, and it wasn't just local town cops. It was the big boys, and I'm walking into a room and they're like, sit down. And it was really intense. They're asking me what am I doing in Brooklyn? What am I doing here? Do I recognize this? And I'm sitting here like, well, if you've been following me, you would know I was in Brooklyn. My mother lives there. Like, what is happening? And I was young. I was like,
intimidation.
It was all intimidation, scare tactics, and none of it worked, thank God. But like, it was terrifying for me. Anybody that threatens your child is just like, that's just next level. So I still get really angry about that, because nobody should be fearful of losing their child, especially like over a plant, and especially on like with what was going on. It was really unnecessary. And now look what we're doing. And that's where I'm like, I see such beauty in coming from the era that you would get arrested for a joint and being able to sell millions of dollars of cannabis a year. It's just kind of like, thank God we're here, but we still have so much further to go. And that's like super important to me. And the other thing we've kind of touched on is, the plants over pills, like super passionate about that. That's and really important.
Yeah, that's super important. The plants over pills for sure. But it's there's still a lot of people in jail for cannabis related offenses. Yeah, just free them all. It's horseshit.
Right.
Yeah, there's just it's like just. And make it easier for people too who were affected by it. A lot of the social equity programs out there, some of them are good and helping, but like I think they can do better there too.
There's a lot of scams on those social equity programs as well. So it's like, make sure that you're getting some legal advice and protecting yourself.
Yeah, for sure, exactly. Like we just want to make it more fair, more inclusive, and like I think it's going that way. I feel like there's a faction of the world. My world is going that way. The reality I live in is going that way, and I think there's obviously another faction, but the openness and stuff. And I think that's why we're able to like have a show where we can talk about all this stuff that we talk about on here.
We can, but we're still getting deleted on Instagram. We're still getting deleted on all the social medias except really Twitter and LinkedIn
because of federal legalization.
Yeah,
and that's so stupid. It's all just like liability. It's all money. It's all so stupid. Censorship. It's really So I'm for leadership that is gonna legalize cannabis and psychedelics and really go towards that. And like you said, the plants over pills is a great thing. And so like working for like the legacy brand, the legacy to legal brands, and like kind of having that obviously like that personal touch, which is like really cool. You're like, okay, now this is like legal. I'm in California. I'm vibing out here, and I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna grow and do and be a part of it and be present. And it's amazing that you've elevated your yourself and and your daughter and Dottie to that point. Does Dottie want to? Can she jump down,
Yeah, you want to get down? Come on.
or she wants to stay up with you? Okay.
That's
Okay. I she can do whatever she wants. I thought
she'll
maybe.
jump up and down.
Okay, she'll jump up and down. Okay. Yeah, yeah. But I just wanted to make sure she could jump down because she's awesome and Dottie's so cool. I can't.
Right? Isn't she?
Yeah.
She comes everywhere with me.
Yeah. All the customers know her when you come and see her. All the
bud tenders, like I'll go visit shops and walk in and they're like, Dottie, and I'm like, hi guys. I'm here too.
Hey, you guys.
Good to see ya.
Yeah, that's how it goes. They deserve it though, right? So the like being a part of that market, the legacy to legal.
Sure.
There's like a different vibe there, right? When you work for these companies, and there's maybe some different meanings behind it, and it's not something that I can say that I do. I don't think I ever sold cannabis illegally. I don't think I did. But I definitely was like engaging in it and like and doing tons of other fucked up shit. Don't get right. Definitely. I just I never just engaged in like the entrepreneurial mindset of it.
Sure.
I was busy with school, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Pharmacy school. Although I have a buddy who's he's very high in cannabis now and works for a company and multi-state operator. We don't love those people and some of them are great. Like
right.
I'm a multi-state operator, but I'm talking about like the ones that are referred to as the MSOs. Like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's this guy. He was a pharmacist. He paid for his whole college by selling, his whole degree by selling, cannabis in schools.
Good for him.
Good for him, man. It's amazing, to be able to do that, and also to have the foresight that like, this is something that might become, legacy to legal. He's a true legacy to legal story.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool, and it'd be cooler once he comes over to this side though, and share, gets his talents, on the little bit lighter side of it.
Yeah.
But I love him. I love him, and I love what he's doing.
Awesome.
So, plants over pills.
Yep. Super passionate about that. Coming from this area, I love it here. It's beautiful. There's tons of opportunity. It's great, but there's a serious drug problem here. And I've lost a lot of friends and family members to the opioid crisis. And it's being talked about now, but it's been going on for 20 years. And I've watched the destruction that it leaves in its wake. I've been affected by it over and over again. And so I'm just super passionate that like people understand that there are other alternate options for pain, whether that's mental, physical, whatever you're going through. And it's actually proven that states with legalized cannabis have lower alcohol and opioid issues. And coming from New Hampshire, which is number 1, I believe, for alcohol consumption per capita, and alternates between number 3 and 5 as the worst state for opioids, we have a problem, right? And I've watched it. I've lived it. I've watched it. I've learned it. And so I just really want to make alternative medicines accessible to people. The psychedelics, the psilocybin, the cannabis, like all of the things that can help people actually heal instead of cover up and then potentially die, So that's really heavy for me, but it's something I'm passionate about. And during COVID, I was really isolated. My daughter was out of the house. All of a sudden, I was an adult for the first time without a child in the house. And we're going through COVID, and it was really painful for me. It was a really rough time. And I got invited onto this app, Clubhouse, and joined and got super, super involved in that. And a friend of mine that I used to work with, and I believe he's up in Sacramento, like, I'm in San Diego, he's in Sacramento, and we decided to co-host a room called Plants Over Pills that we did every Wednesday. We would research like cool guests, invite them on, and we would basically interview them with this kind of same style. And then at the end, we would have like a question and answer / share period for people for about a half hour. And like the stories we were told were just so empowering, so beautiful, so heavy, so disastrous, like all of the things, right? But it was so needed. Like people need to share their stories. People need other people to talk to. And in this society, we really like box things, and we're not open and honest about like mental health and addiction and a lot of the things that people go through. And so that was really important to me to like give people access to be honest and find a community, you know. And a lot of the people that we invited onto the show just had like really dope stories about either what they were bringing to the community or what they had overcome, or like they were a giant success. Like we had an NBA player on, we had like Australia's first cannabis medical patient on. Like we had some really cool guests, and it was really raw, heavy, but beautiful conversation. So
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
We talk a lot about a lot on the show, you know, mental health and addiction specifically. Opiates were a big part of my story.
Oh, I was aware of that.
Yeah, well, that's people run away from everything, right? And me included, everyone does it, but it's something that I'm open and honest about. And,
yeah,
and it's something that it's just it's funny because you really hit on so many things. The first that you hit on was that the abstinence only model. If this had been even 5 years ago in 2018 when you had started, at least out here, maybe it was a little bit different in California. But 2018 and definitely in 2015, if you had told somebody who was struggling with opiate addiction, or someone struggling with any type of addiction, that they could use another illicit drug, like cannabis or psilocybin to help them, that's a non-starter. There's a non-starter. It's just not. It wasn't in the culture.
How is that conversation out here? Because I'm really not aware. I come from California, where it's like we have Cali sober and things are just a lot more.
Oh yeah, Cali sober.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about that back in the thing. Oh yeah, Cali sober, you just smoke weed, and that a lot of that likely back. I think that is, as much as I did have to do with the healing community, I also think that was marketing because cannabis was legal in California. So it was also like happening that it was great that people were getting healing. But I don't know, was that the actual intention?
I think people just used it to describe their lack of alcohol use, because a lot of people have stopped drinking and they've gone to cannabis instead. And so they're just calling it Cali Sober. I think also now there's a Cali Sober 2.0 where it's you dabble with cannabis and psilocybin, but not alcohol or any other,
Yeah, well, you should stop calling it. You should stop calling it like Cali Sober, because it's like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, like, so sober is just a weird term, because like I'm a person of sound mind, and I, at one point in my life I was not a person of sound mind,
right?
And you have to figure that out, and then you have to, we had a person who, had, how many felonies was it, Jacob? Yeah, it was 587.
How did you rack up 500 felonies?
He was a pharmacist, and he was, he's writing scripts, and
there you go.
Yeah, so. And his, an amount of milligrams of Adderall that like he was taking a day, and that you couldn't even fathom, that people, because his receptors were so.
No, I would die.
Yeah, right. A lot of people would die. And, he knew how to counteract it with other drugs. And so he just, let's check out that episode. If episode, it's with Jake Nichols. He's he's a good friend, and
I watched a couple of your episodes, but I've got to
watch. This one's not out yet.
Oh,
so, yeah, it will be out soon. So likely released before your episode. So
okay,
people will be able to go back and listen to Jake Nichols' episode. And
perfect.
We get into it pretty deep and pretty heavy, and talk about this, about how you have before you couldn't be. There was no existence for people being, if you weren't abstinent only, a lot of people in the community, those people that you needed to go talk to about your experience because they had similar experiences to you, that was then shut off to you because you were, you were using, or you were drinking, or, and that cut a lot of people off. And so and it's funny because that, I do like that mindset. So, because you say that Cali sober thing, it actually had nothing to do with healing. It was just people who just didn't want to drink and just want,
it's more a lack of or abstinence from alcohol.
Abstinence from alcohol.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, somebody who has my background, alcohol is it's a personal relationship with each of these drugs and each of these these chemicals and molecules that you can put inside yourself. With alcohol, for me, I can pick it up and put it down. Like I choose not to do it actively because I don't like it. And I figured that out because I say it, and this is something that I don't need it to be me. I don't need it to be social. I don't like the way it makes me feel. It's a depressant. I don't want anything to do with it. And but for my whole life, since I was a kid, I had these habits. I would just drink, with my friends, and we would just, that's how it was. It just went. But I never actually enjoyed it.
Well, and that's what's interesting right now is to watch a lot of these societal structures crumbling into like it's super normal to not drink alcohol now. I still personally drink. Most of my friends do. I don't know that I always will, but I have a lot of friends and people in my life that don't consume any alcohol, and I have mad respect for that. A lot of respect.
Yeah, but it's recent. It's recent because I've gone through it.
Yeah.
I haven't been drinking for 5-6 years maybe now. 5-6 years, maybe a little longer, maybe 7, whatever, a pretty long time now. For a while, it was funny because I would go to parties. I'd bring a 6-pack with me. I used to drink cider because that was the only thing I could really even tolerate. Because I hated the taste of it. It just sucked. And I would drink half a cider. And then I would go home and I would tell my partner, I'd be like, why am I doing this? Why don't I just own this? I don't like this. I don't need it to be me.
Right.
And then finally I got to the point, I was like, I don't need this. This is not,
who are you trying to prove it to?
Who are you trying to prove it to, dude?
Exactly.
So, but at first that was still odd for people. It used to be way odd, when people see the people who struggle who are in it, people especially with alcoholism, they go to a place where people are drinking and people, oh, why are you drinking? Where, we don't have a drink? What the heck's what's wrong with you?
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that culture. What's wrong with you? You're in a group full of people who are literally putting a toxic chemical into their body, which is not a bad thing individually.
Right. But it is. It's a poison.
But it's a poison. And what's wrong? What's wrong? That's the subconscious, nothing's wrong with me. Why am I drinking? So that did exist.
Flipping.
But it's starting to flip now because there's more people who, especially out here, there's some New Hampshire sober people,
good,
out here.
I love to hear it.
Yeah, so it's you're seeing more of that community, and it's actually really cool because I talk about this stuff a lot, right? I talk about it publicly, so people talk to me about this stuff a lot, and so oh my God, this is beautiful. They call it sober curious.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They say so. They come up to me and they say, I've been drinking. I'm sober curious. And it's I guess that's probably what I was. When I was thinking why am I doing this?
Right.
So I try to help them through that and just tell them my story. And
100%.
So it's cool that I we have all these connections with people and it's the more that's taking place in my life, people would just come up to me at a bar, because I still go out.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing.
You're out and being social and you just don't need that.
I don't need it. I dance. I go wild. I love it. People think that I'm fucked up.
People assume you're on something.
Big time. And sometimes, don't rush. Sometimes I do take psilocybin and cannabis and go out dancing, but not every time.
Good.
And people always assume what's that guy on? And I go up to him. I say, I'm on life, baby.
Nice.
I call it the giddy up.
And it's interesting too because there was the dry Januaries and the sober October, things like that, and so many people try that out and then end up they're I felt so much better, and then they just stay sober.
Yeah, that's what it's literally the habit. It's such a habit. It's so ingrained in us that we think we need it, and it's such a comfortable thing that we just go to.
Right.
And if you can just get through that, and then you can really you might actually figure out, oh, I'm a guy who actually does like to have a drink or two.
Right.
But you might also figure out that's not what I want at all. Mm-hmm. It's the last thing that I want.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's cool that you go through the same type of pathway that's happening out there as it's happening out here as well. In both parts of the country. I think that's really cool.
I love to see it, and that that was a big thing with the Plants Over Pills. As I was constantly talking about back here. This is home. This is where I'm from. This is where my people are. I love California. I've got great friends out there, and I've built a life. But this is where I'm from. And you know how it is. You're a New Englander for life. That's just the way it goes.
Right.
East Coast forever. And it kills me to see what's happening out here. And it's been happening for so long. And also the difference, so San Diego, where I live currently, about 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, started to have a pretty serious fentanyl problem. And the fentanyl was coming and it was being cut into other drugs. So you could do the cocaine and end up ODing because you had no idea that you were, consuming fentanyl. And San Diego put up big billboards everywhere with a giant penny and like a dot of fentanyl on it. It was like, this is the amount of fentanyl it takes to kill you. And it was plastered everywhere. We don't see any of that here. Like, why aren't people like really open and talking about it? We know there's methadone clinics on every corner in Boston, but it's this like shameful thing that people aren't like. I just love to see San Diego be like, there's a problem. This is how much it takes to kill you. Like, beware. And out here, it's been happening for way longer. I started losing friends around 20 years old. And it's like, why isn't there that awareness? Why isn't there that conversation? I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but there are pharmaceutical lobbyists and, people, that's literally their job to force procedure and try and influence procedure. And it's not lost on me that alcohol is number one per capita in New Hampshire, and opiates are between, always in the top 5 in New Hampshire, and cannabis is the only state in New England not legalized. So
yeah, I wonder what's going to happen when it goes.
I'll tell you exactly what will happen, because it's a proven fact. Alcohol sales will decline, and so will pharmaceutical abuse. So
yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
There's statistics on that.
Oh, exactly. That's it. You know it 100%. It happens at everywhere. And drunk driving deaths go down. Everyone gets healthier. Everyone gets healthier when you.
Yeah.
And so this is like really, in my career, right? I'm a pharmacist who's taught one way, very ingrained to think one way, and having to break free of that has been challenging.
Right.
It's been so enlightening and so amazing, because this is how I've always felt. All these pharmacy people, all these doctors, all they want to do is really help people and help people heal.
Right. And
I didn't think it's really amazing too. Is it's such a tough time to be alive, and all the things that go on. It's really hard. Sure, I'm gonna be able to help people. I'm already helping people get cannabis. I'm already helping people understand psilocybin and psychedelics.
Yeah,
stuff that I can truly that make
you
them
can get behind.
That I can get behind it. That's gonna help them heal and make them really feel better.
Right.
That is a holy shit moment, and that's why you see a lot of these doctors who they can't ignore it, what's happening, even though they've been taught this one way.
Right.
Once they see it, or they might have an experience themselves, and then they kind of learn. They go full go. We just had a gentleman who wrote a book. He's a PA. He wrote the microdosing guidebook on our show.
I love that.
Yeah, he's awesome, because he just had he went down. He said this shit really is medicine, and that's once they realize that it's medicine and that it can have outcomes that we've never seen before. And with any other pharmaceutical, I shouldn't say other pharmaceutical, because it's not a pharmaceutical.
Right.
Even though a lot of pharmaceuticals were originally derived from plants, and that's why we're going to make sure that this isn't being stolen and not being, access is always being given with cannabis. And I wish cannabis, it is good in a lot of states. In Maine, if you're a person who's sick and you need some cannabis, you're going to find a caregiver and you don't have money, you're going to find a caregiver who's going to give you some cannabis for free and take care of you. And I don't know if that exists everywhere.
It doesn't.
I don't think that it does. So that access is definitely a thing with cannabis, because it's so capitalized and so commercialized. And psilocybin, there's so much more. I love cannabis, but I think that there's I don't want to say more I do think there probably might be
different
benefits with psilocybin, and more robust.
Right.
There's more robust to explore with psilocybin and some of the psychedelics. That the recipe for that is telling me that there's just going to be more commercialization.
Oh yeah, but I mean, and I want to just do due diligence and not be irresponsible with just saying plants over pills. There is a time and a place for pharmaceuticals, of course, and cannabis and psilocybin are not for everybody. There's certain mental health things that those can trigger that are not going to be great for everybody. So definitely check in and make sure that these are medicines and plants and fungi that you can access in a healthy way. I just learned about, I think it's called Fireside. Have you heard about this for the psychedelics after? It's like a free call for integration.
Yes.
I just found out about this, and I think it's the coolest thing.
Yeah, Fireside. It's a hotline that you can call if you're having a bad trip. You can call to help you through it, and also for integration afterwards, which, as we know, is the most important part about psychedelics.
Yeah, and I just thought that was so cool. I was like, this is a whole new level. It's a free hotline you can call and either integrate your experience, go through your experience with somebody on the phone, and they have full hardcore training. They know exactly how to walk you through, talk you through, be there for you. And I just find that to be really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we're in a time now. It's again as frustrating, as angry as we can get about some of the things that are going on that are frustrating.
Oh, there's so many beautiful things too.
There's so many beautiful things, and another one of those beautiful things is having access to this, having access to be able to to have these different technologies. You said it. I'm a pharmacist who doesn't, but I still know that 20 to 25% of drugs, maybe even more than that, are very useful, and a lot of them do have their place.
Sure.
Even opiates.
Yeah.
Even opiates, and it's like, this is a tough thing. You could say, hey, they don't have their place, get them out because you can deal with pain in different ways. And yes, that type of pain, yes. But I'll experience, and this is a new experience that I just, that I'm opening up to. And I've always thought that maybe that, in terms of surgery, because you need it in certain surgeries. Same, with fentanyl, you need, in certain surgeries, and, Dilaudid is very helpful for these surgeries because the body needs to, to be comfortable. There's different other ways to do it. But on, a couple of weeks ago, we lost my mom.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much. And she was fighting a 3-year and 3-month battle with brain cancer.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a warrior, and she's with us right now. So it's a giddy up. And, this is I went home to be with her and just to stay with. She was on hospice, going for a home hospice. I was just going down for a day visit, but ended up being longer. It's just, hey, she's not. Actually, the last lucid moment she has was me bringing my son to her and her holding a hug. She couldn't really talk too much anymore, a few words, but holding my son and holding me and telling me she loved me.
How beautiful is that?
How beautiful is that, right? And then we waited with her for that was Thursday, and then on Father's Day, she finally she took her last breath.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for, two drugs that are highly abused, highly abused, okay, Dilaudid and lorazepam, two very, benzodiazepine and an opiate.
Okay.
Two extreme, benzolorazepam, Ativan, Xanax.
Yeah.
So these are two drugs that help a person who's going through end stage life. When their body is rejecting and they are in so much pain because they're dying,
mm-hmm.
it helps them die. It helps them go through that process, and it helps their family, help them go through that process. There's use there. There might be other ways that we can achieve that stuff too, but we need to get to a place where that's controlled and where that's not, we can use it for that. And
right.
That's what I'm saying is there's the fact that there's a fireside chat and there's all this great stuff that we have telehealth and all these we just get. It's the most beautiful time in the world, in existence, if we make it that way, if we take responsibility to do so.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, look at us. We can have Dottie inside right now doing a podcast with us, looking at her mom, being so happy, saying giddy up,
She's so happy right now.
Oh, I love her so much.
Isn't she great?
Yeah. So I guess the plants over pills thing and just getting I just love that that's part of your story because it's so much a part of my story.
Right. Well, and also my dad had Crohn's disease, right? I also lost my dad to cancer, unfortunately, many years ago. And with his Crohn's disease, I'm looking back with the knowledge that I have now on FSO and medicinal uses that I had no knowledge of at 22 years old, I really think that I could have helped heal my dad and at least made his life a lot less painful and a lot easier, especially with the cannabis, and with the cancer, with whether it be pain relief or digestive issues, all of that. And I love that too, because my friends come to me a lot and they're like, what do I do for this? Or my brother, he got COVID really bad a couple of years ago and texted me and was like, Riss, can I have an edible? And I was like, he said, I have COVID. I'm really not feeling good. And I was like, I'm going to give you something else. I have these pills. I want you to freeze them and then take them one every 8 hours until you're better. He's like, no, I don't want any pills. I'm like, do you trust me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, just take the pills. It was cannabis. It was FSO pills. And I froze them so they could get into the digestive. And the next morning he texted me and was like, holy shit, my fever broke. I feel so much better. And I'm like, boom. It was that quick,
Yeah.
It can be really intense. And as much as I'm sad and irritated that my dad didn't have access to that medicine, a lot of people have access now. And I want to really keep pushing to make sure that people still have that access,
Yeah.
And I microdose daily. It's huge for my mental health. Huge. 100 milligrams of psilocybin with my coffee alternative every morning, and I've seen a major change in my mental health. So
now, okay, so we got to unpack that.
Yes.
And I want to say that I love that you I love you, and sorry for your dad, and
thanks. Yeah,
he's with us here too.
For sure.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
Cool. But my dad, your mom meeting in the same, energy being in the same place.
He leaves me change. So if we find any spare change, a medium told me came up to me. I was like, your dad leaves you change. You find change everywhere, and I'm like, oh my God, I do. Like literally, there will just be a dime, and I'm like that, and so I always pick it up. I'm like, hey Dad.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a giddy up.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, that's the definition of a giddy up right there, and one of the many definitions.
Love it.
But yeah, it's that just how much we can help. How much is that my mom, she did the cannabis. It helped her a lot, with eating, and she loved the honey.
There you go, the appetite.
Yeah, the pain. She can get a little giggly. It was really helpful for her, and there was. She didn't do the psilocybin. She was a little too scared, and it was unfortunate just because it does help with one of the biggest indications that we're seeing is for end of life.
Mm-hmm.
For that end of life stress and that end of life anxiety.
Same with MDMA. They're making huge strides with end of life access to care with that.
Yeah,
I find it fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, and I think that it's all great, and I want now you microdose daily,
mm-hmm.
and so that's a pretty cool thing. The microdose. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so it's actually it's in a pill form. I never thought that I would have psilocybin that had nutritional facts on it, but here we are. And then it's just a pill with 100 milligrams of psilocybin, along with some other adaptogenics. There's lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps. I have one that has niacin, so for energy. I have another one that is called Explore, so it has double the dose. I've got I've got different levels and different varieties, which is really nice. It's just a pill. We were talking about quitting coffee a couple years ago. So I drink, what is it, Daily Dose? I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like a coffee alternative, and I make that every day. That was a big change in my mental health too. It's the coffee, because I didn't realize how much it was contributing to my anxiety. And I was so dependent on it. So I've been here in New Hampshire for the last, 9 days, and I didn't miss it. But when I was drinking coffee, I couldn't go 9 days without a coffee, But anyway, tangent, but
it's all stuff that's so valid and stuff that we got to talk about here, because the psilocybin and the microdosing, I think that's great. I think that the niacin, they can definitely give you energy, and the reason that is put in there is it's going to help flush the psilocybin to the peripheral of your body, because that's what niacin does. So it helps take the psilocybin to the parts of your body that it may not, out to your peripherals, out to your fingertips.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's why it's Paul Stamets is. People have been doing niacin forever, likely before Paul Stamets. Paul Stamets has brought it to tell people and kind of commercialized it a little bit, and letting people know through the way that he microdoses is with the niacin, and that's why we know that. That's why. And so it's which is really cool, because with my experience, it's their the 5-HT2A receptors, which is the serotonin receptors.
Yeah.
People just think of that as a very mental thing, because it's you always talk about SSRIs and stuff. So serotonin, you think of it as a brain chemical. It's we have these receptors all throughout our body.
Okay.
And so that's it. I have a very meditative physical experience when I especially after I dance. And I then I'll go and foam roll and meditate and have access to postural change, significant change in my my ability to my breath hold, time that I can hold my breath for. It's wild to see, but it's also so intuitive, and this is right, and this is why I have to do this. This is why I have to start a show and create products that are around this to help educate people, to really, really drive this home, because this is a whole new type of healing that we have had access to before in times of in life, in existence, of course, always, but we haven't always shepherded it the right way necessarily. And I think right now we have a really, really good opportunity to do that. And it seems like it's going in the right way. I I will ask this. So with
Sure.
a lot of times with microdosing,
Yeah.
people will, and it's a personal, let me say this, it is a personal relationship. So what you decide to do is what's best, as long as it's not negatively affecting your life.
Right.
If it's bringing positivity and giddy ups to your life and making you feel heal and wholesome, it's a personal relationship. But the like the two, like, you know, Paul Stamets and you know, other people who have started to talk about microdosing, they do like, you know, they call it like stacking, and you'll do like, you know, 1 day on,
Yeah.
1 day off,
Yeah.
1 day on,
3 days on,
3 days off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I started. 3 days on, 1 day off for a while, and then I just realized it was going to be a daily thing for me.
Okay, cool. So that's the personal relationship, and
Yeah.
that's what I think. That's what's really amazing, is that you can learn this, and then you can, you know, you can get somebody, you know, we got to figure out some of the you know, some of the way that the market is going to work, because it does need to be protected. But this is stuff that's really cheap and can be grown so cheaply and
Oh, yeah.
by so many people in your community,
Oh, yeah.
that we can really share it. And it needs to go the way of cannabis, because it's not more scary
Right.
than cannabis. It's not. You know, there's other effects and things that we have to be careful of, because it's a super dose dependent thing. But it's
That's
not
what the devil's in the doses.
the devil's in the dose, exactly. And or the giddy up is in the dose.
There you go.
Right. You know, it can be
I've gone both ways.
I've gone both ways, and the only way is through. You know, you go through that through, then after you get through that bad trip and you say, whoa, I didn't die, I'm still here.
Right.
That's a giddy up. You know, and sometimes that's where the mental health is.
I'm just also not a fan of a lot of the people that are hardcore into psychedelics being like, oh, that's good. You had a really terrible time. Like, that's good. Keep going. I'm like, no, that can be really dangerous for some people. And I think we have to be responsible about that.
Yeah, you need to integrate your experience. So you shouldn't just keep going. You should, if you have a negative experience, you then integrate that experience, explore why it might have been negative, explore why your brain went there. And then when you are called again, not when somebody tells you to go through it,
Right.
you are called again. If you are called,
If you're called,
it's not a silver bullet. It's
Right.
not for everybody.
Right.
You know,
No, I get
like
it.
a pharmaceutical, you know, it's like, just like certain things are great, and, you know, like not many pharmaceuticals are,
Right.
but some, you know, there's certain things that work for some people. And you know, it's not this, you know, sometimes, but I think
100% agree. And I mean, clearly I told you I smoked cannabis for the first time at 13. Like, I'm somebody that is a go for it type person. I want to try everything, you know? I've done all kinds.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I've done all kinds of interesting things, right? Whether it be like psilocybin, cannabis. I've done Cambo, where they literally like burn you and put frog
the
poison.
common. Yeah, we had a girl come on the show who does that practitioner, you know. I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
that burns like literally all over my body. It's such a cool thing, and that's non-psychedelic, but it's great physically. Not
You feel the immunological effects.
absolutely. It was really wild. I'll touch on it super quick. Also, no frogs are harmed. I just want to be clear about that, because I would never do anything that harmed any frogs. But the first time I did it, so some people have really crazy reactions. I'm one of them. So like, I blow up. Like, my face, they say like some people get the frog effect and you start to look like a frog, and it's crazy. Like, you get violently ill, you have to purge, you know, you're throwing up. It's super fun. It's really not fun to go through, but after, you're like, it's a whole flushing of your lymphatic system. And it was super interesting, because right under my right eye, I developed a pocket of fluid. And I started doing more of the sessions, and like the pocket got bigger and bigger, and then it dissipated. And I don't know what was going on, because you have like major lymph nodes, right? And I'm like, it was weird. Like, you could see it. I took these crazy pictures, and like now it's gone.
How long did it last for?
Probably like 24 to 48 hours after I would do it.
And it happened more than once.
Yeah, until it eventually dissipated. I haven't done Cambo combo in quite a few years, but I was really into it a few years back for the benefits.
Yeah. I love this too, you know, like that's things. It's not this necessarily euphoric fit, you know, and that's what's really good about a lot of these, you know, medicines, is they're not dopaminergic, or they're, you know, completely away from that, and they're not giving you that joy.
No mental effect.
Right, no mental effect at all. It's physical, exactly.
And it's not fun.
It's not fun.
No, it's not fun at all, but it's really cool. And I bring that up just to say, because you mentioned it calling to you. And so everyone always asks me, well, have you done ayahuasca yet? And I'm like, no, I haven't. And I'm a firm believer, and I've been told, like, ayahuasca will call you. And so maybe that will happen for me one day, and maybe it won't. a little intimidated by ayahuasca, to be really frank. But, maybe that'll be in my future at some point. It's just not now,
Yeah, I 100% feel it. I'm gearing up for that. I'm in the same space where I'm starting on the other side of the hill. I'm starting to I'm not actively looking, but I'm starting to throw it out there into my universe that this is something that I'd like to do, and I need to go through it. And so
I think if that's how you're feeling, then
yeah, it's a giddy up.
You go for it.
Yeah, so we're there exactly, and so we're gonna wait until not wait. We're just gonna. It's organic, right? It's just gonna happen when it's gonna happen, and I've thrown it out there into my universe and say, and I'm not seeking it, but it's a giddy up, and but I'm you said. I didn't know if that was going to happen, and that's the thing is you have to have that personal relationship where it calls to you, and you just, guess what, that they'll teach you to be honest with yourself, and if you take the time to listen, you can, someone once said to me, like, don't take a ton of mushrooms and go watch CNN or Fox, and like, definitely don't do that.
That does not sound fun to me.
Yeah, right. It doesn't sound fun, but you can definitely
that doesn't sound fun to me with psilocybin or not.
Yeah, it just sounds, sounds horrible across the board.
Right.
I just love that we're talking about this stuff, and that we're people are being like more open about it, because it wasn't even possible. And I've gone through this journey of being somebody who was sick and looking for ways to heal himself, and I didn't have much access. There was with those pharmaceuticals out there.
Conversation blows my mind,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's amazing, and I think that it's really cool because I think it's cool because it's easier. I don't want to say it's easier. I want to give you credit for coming from, and I give us both credit. I want to give myself credit too, of course.
Absolutely.
But I want to, I'm very appreciative of your perspective and doing what you've done and empowering women around you.
Thank you.
I know through your foundation, Women of Cannabis, which is the largest women's networking cannabis, largest women's networking group in the.
I don't know if we're the largest.
No, they're the most giddy up. Okay. I don't know if they're the largest.
I don't think we're the largest. There's some other really great organizations that we always love to shout out, like Blunt Brunch and Women Grow and Buy Weed from Women. There's a ton of like great organizations out there. But here
I am over being a man saying like, oh, there's one's got to be the best or the biggest. That's how it goes. And then she's like, oh no, actually we all just like love each other, and we're all just like supporting each other and doing it the right way.
There's a lot of women on women's support. There's a lot of women's support in cannabis. There really is. It's really hard to be a woman working in cannabis. In fact, like women leadership positions are actually declining drastically. It's really hard to grow as a woman. There can be a lot of boys club mentality. I also a lot of the men are our biggest supporters. Like I want to be very clear on that. There's great men in cannabis that really uplift. I mean, the guy that brought me in, But my partners and I, we have an organization, Women of Cannabis, and we throw just really dope, like high-end networking parties. And it allows women to come together and have like a really like low-key but really fun experience where they're able to network but also kind of party. Brands come in and provide all free cannabis. We have free dab bars. We have women walking around with rolling trays. Like, you want a blunt rolled? There you go. You want a joint? There you go. There's all the consumption. We don't serve any alcohol. We only serve cannabis mocktails. We have mocktail companies come in and actually like do proper full bar drinks, but they're made with THC instead of alcohol. And for whatever reason, it's really attracted some major power players in the industry, and they continue to show up. The last podcast I did about a year ago, I was like, women are coming from all over. They're driving hours. And now I can say they're flying in from other states. And so it's just growing and it's getting bigger. And we've done, I think, 3 or 4 in LA, 3 in LA. We've done 3 or 4 in LA, 1 in San Francisco. We're about to do San Diego, which I'm super stoked because that's my city. So we're going to do that August 19th. We will be opening tickets, I believe, in the next week or two. It'll be about 200 people downtown San Diego. It's going to be, 3 or 4 hours and just a great time to come network. There are no requirements other than you have to be a female identifying that works in cannabis. Actually, you don't even have to. We do allow men. We just try to ask that the numbers stay respectful so that women feel comfortable and like it's a women-centric network. But we do invite men.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and like, I think your perspective on that is really cool too. And I have listened to to your content, and I heard you say like, like, is it being about that, about men, bringing men into the space, and you were saying, yeah, before we'll bring men to the space, and then a man interjected and said, yeah, because you want to, because of course you want to feel safe, and then you interjected on him and said, well, I'm sorry, Dottie. You interjected on him and said, oh no, actually, I don't like to use that word safe because men aren't inherently bad.
Right.
And that's really true, guys. We're not inherently bad. We're different. And things have happened, and in just the normal formations of society and culture, and there's stuff that women are working on too. And so it's like let's just keep working on it together and making it better. And I think you're a huge proponent of that.
Yeah, and we all have different perspectives and different needs and wants, right? Just like women, we're not all the same. So for me, I said it on the last one, you probably saw, like, I grew up with 3 brothers. I'm super, super comfortable in male-dominated spaces. It's never been uncomfortable for me. So, like my last team that I worked on, I was the only female on our team, and I thrive in those spaces. That's, it's fine for me, but that's not everyone else's experience. And that's why it's really important for us to like provide this space, and it's fun. It's not this thing like, oh, like all the women come together and like stay away from the guys. Like, it's not like that. We're just throwing a really dope party, and we're focusing it for the women.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe I'll have to come out to an event and get after it with you guys. And
feel free. We've got quite a few coming up. We're actually doing San Diego August 19th. We are going to be doing Santa Rosa in Northern California September 29th. And then we have a date about to be announced for a really large event in LA that we're partnering up with some really cool guys. So
okay, well, not only that, but I would love to get you guys some Dr. BeeWell honey.
Oh yeah,
provide it, and
absolutely,
like whatever, I don't know how you tell me how the legality works. We'll figure that out. But it's a giddy up, and we have we just have so many. It's just, I want to be a part of that space with you because it's cool. Amazing, and
we'd love to have you.
Yeah,
and we want to bring it out here.
Okay,
that's the goal. We've been invited to New York City to come do one. We're actually going to be going international this year and taking it to Spain, to Cannabis. So
Cannabis,
yeah,
love it.
Super exciting. You got to get out there.
Yeah,
it's some of the best networking I've ever done in my life, and it's just, going out for Cannabis and coming together with people from all over the world that have the same ideas as, I thought I had seen it all being in California cannabis for the last 5 years, and I went to my first Cannabis in March, and I was like, oh, okay, here's a whole other world.
Wow, yeah, that's going to be a giddy up. Like you said, you have that perspective because you keep going, your eyes keep getting wider and wider and wider, and it's like, okay, and that it's just...
And you can do it all out there. You can go to the headiest hash competition you've ever seen, and in the same night be in like, higher end like restaurant, like open networking with some major players, and everybody's having a good time. So it's, how could you not in Barcelona?
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's awesome. It's about like cultivating those spaces, and
all of cannabis is cultivation, including our relationships, right?
Yes, that's beautiful.
Relationships are everything in this space.
Relationships are everything, and cultivation is everything, because it's for the plant and for those relationships.
There you go. We'll cultivate it and curate it.
Cultivate it and curate it. I love it. Now, you started that with one of your, someone you had formerly worked with, right, over at Big Pete's?
Both of them, yeah. I have 2 partners, Kaylee Morgan and Katie Furtado, and Katie and Kaylee are still with Big Pete's Treats. Katie is actually the daughter and the VP of sales over there. Kaylee runs like Northern California sales. Kaylee is up in Santa Cruz. Kaylee's in Santa Cruz. Katie is in LA, and I'm in San Diego. So it's nice because all 3 of us are in very different cities throughout the state. And we all have very different vibes. We're very, very, very different people, but we vibe well together, and each of us brings a little something different to what we're doing. And so I feel like that's what makes us a little different. Like, we've got something for almost every demographic, and we are like access for everybody.
Yeah, well, look at that. Another example of a giddy up. The Big Pete's Treats, that brand is speaks to me. Our Massachusetts partners, the Massachusetts partner with Dr. BeeWell, Berkshire Roots is also the partners with Big Pete's Treats, and so there's been a little crossover there between us. And so I just when that's the universe is coming together. And and when I had learned about that, I said, oh wow, that's really cool, because they're doing it the right way. They've been doing it the right way.
Oh yeah, and Big Pete's was my first legal job in cannabis. That was it.
That was the one. That was the first one where you got the opportunity.
For those guys in that family, they're really great people.
Yeah, and that same. And it's like I'm only a little ancillary, piece, but our relationship will be cultivated.
Oh yeah, when you come out to California,
we'll get after it
for sure.
Yeah, I really can't wait to do that.
Yeah, I love it, and I want to just shout out, if anyone wants to find us, Women of Cannabis, and wants to get in touch with what we're doing. You can find us on Instagram at Women of Cannabis _420. We're going to be dropping some merch soon. We're going to be doing some really cool stuff. So
yeah,
definitely feel free to get in touch.
I would definitely rock a Woman of Cannabis tank.
Good.
Yeah,
that's what I love to see.
I love it. I love tank tops. I used to not like tank tops because it was always like a thing, but now I just love to go to the beach, and like when I'm doing yoga, I just wear a tank top, and like, so I'm gonna take off my shirt anyways when I'm doing the yoga.
There you go.
So like just wearing like cool little tank tops to different brands that I love. Got this brand in Maine called Tastefully Baked. They're incredible. Husband and wife owned. And the wife she's a giddy up. This girl's incredible. Janelle, she's been on the show. Janelle LaPlante. You should.
I'll check it out.
Legacy to Legal.
Mm-hmm.
They went through it.
Right.
In New Hampshire, Governor's Island.
Oh,
cops knocking down the door. But then doubled down, made it to Maine, and created an incredible brand because
good for them. Knew
what they were passionate about, knew what they were good at, and just incredible story, incredible people. So just definitely check them out, and I got to support you guys and get a Woman of Cannabis shirt
for sure. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, so that's Woman of Cannabis, but like what if people want to get in touch with you?
You can email me, Marissa Twichell @gmail.com. Also, my Instagram is Marissa Twitch, no T in Twitch. Yeah. I guess those two ways are probably the best.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll share that with everybody.
Sure.
You today has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for
great combo.
Great combo, great energy. It's so important that I think people like us who are in the in this industry are talking and having these conversations and broadcasting them so other people can hear them and be a part of that.
Sure.
Definitely people chime in on what's going on, and if you have any questions, reach out to Marissa, reach out to me. Let's reach out to Dottie.
Yeah.
I love it over here with her and I. We've just been vibing over here for a little bit.
She's in heaven. Look at her.
Yeah, I think at one point she liked that I was rubbing the other side of her, and I thought that she was getting up. So I said, okay, go give you your space. You go do your thing. But she just turned around so I could pet her other side.
She was like other side.
Yeah, it's the other side, baby. Giddy up.
Oh yeah, she's got a little smile on her face right now. You can see it from the side. It's so cute.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, she's chilling.
Yeah,
Did you see her collar too?
Yeah, I saw the collar. I love the collar, the cannabis collar. It's so perfect, and she's just so perfect and beautiful, and you are wonderful, and thank you so much for bringing her in and for bringing yourself in and taking this time, because I know you have a flight to catch, and being our first guest from
I'm honored.
Yeah, from another world. I think that's a step for us. And I will ask, when you do come back, I'd love to have you come back on and chat again.
100%. Would love to.
Okay. We're going to do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And also, everyone needs to check out your honey. I want to talk about that on the West Coast at some point.
Yo, man. Yes, we're going to be talking about it on the West Coast. We're going to be showing it. It's going to be it's going to be a giddy up, as I would say.
We should talk.
Hell yeah. And we will. And thank you everybody so much for being with us today. This is a true giddy up. Reach out to us if you need anything. We love you. Be well.